Hello and welcome into Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and on today's episode, we get the latest saga in the Terry McLaurin case. Yes, McLaurin has officially requested a trade from the Washington Commanders. What this means for his contract status, where he's going, if he's going, and everything else. We take a further look at the wide receivers that this could affect, what's going on with them right now, and a pivotal defensive player for your New England Patriots. Before we get into everything, make sure you go down, subscribe for the channel, get in the comments, and let us know what you think about Terry McLaurin. Should he find his way to New England? Are the Pats better off figuring out what they have in the shop right now, if you will? Or is the splash move really worth it? Also, make sure you give us a like if you like what you hear, and make sure you go back and check out all of our old episodes after this one. We start indeed with Terry McLaurin telling the Washington Commanders that he is now in the camp of wanting to be traded. The official request is in. However, this does not mean that he will be traded. This is a chip that he can cash in to push. This is an agent tactic, if you will. He's been a quote unquote hold in for the Washington Commanders, so he's there at training camp, at practice every day. He's not participating, but again, he's around the team. He's doing everything he can to cash in, and he rightly should. Coming off an All-Pro season, at 29 years of age and looking 30 right in the face, this is the time to do that. And that's why Washington is dragging their heels a little bit in this as well. And Washington wants to be smart. You only have such a window when you're playing with a quarterback on a rookie deal, which is what the Patriots will have to do here as well. Do you want to give your remaining salary cap dollars to this wide receiver and then you're done? They've already done a little bit here with it for Deebo Samuel. And is that enough? You obviously want to pair him with Terry McLaurin. And personally, I think that the Commanders will eventually get this done. The flip side of it, and the reason why the Patriots are the betting favorite of any team not named the Commanders for Terry McLaurin to end up with, there are negative odds going that he will end up back in Washington, but the Patriots would be the first team up, followed by the Raiders and the Titans, as well as teams that have salary cap that would be willing to give up some draft assets and give a potential $30 million contract next year for Terry McLaurin, and do the same for next, and potentially an option for that third year as well. Again, that's a lot of money for a player who's about to hit 30 years old, and we've talked about what that means in the NFL and why that age is important. Again, I think this is posturing by McLaurin's camp, but again, it only takes one or two wrong moves from here for a relationship to really be fractured, and camps really get to the point of saying this is the only way it can go, and trade is the only way to do that. Patriots have assets. They could even give a wide receiver back in the deal and have the cap space to really say, yes, let's make this happen. Let's pair Terry McLaurin with Stephon Diggs, with Pop Douglas, and give Drake May as many options and weapons as possible. While you can say that out loud as it is possible, don't color it likely quite yet. Additionally, the Patriots did get a wide receiver back. It's a lot of wide receiver updates coming for you here today, as Mac Hollins finally came off the physically unable to practice list and went into practice for the Patriots for the first time, both in his career and for training camp and practice time overall. Mac Hollins stepped in with the starters, and again, it wasn't a full contact day. It was really just walk through at the end of it, but good to see him out there dressed and interacting with everybody, giving Stephon Diggs a big hug, talking with all the guys. And the big thing of what this tells us is a true look at what this wide receiver depth chart is going to start to look like. We've already talked about how we know what the starters are right now, and it's seemingly unchanged with Stephon Diggs, Pop Douglas, and Kayshon Boutte actually being that third wide receiver in the starting lineup. Mac Hollins was With the ones, they really kind of separated it out to the starting offense on one field and the reserves on the second. So everyone going over with Drake May. And they had those three starters plus Mac Hollins out on the starting field. That seems like that's going to be what they deem as their starting group of wide receivers with a rotation package, if you will. And then on the other side, with Joshua Dobbs, it was Kendrick Bourne, Kyle Williams, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, Effton Chisum, everybody else on that side of the ball. So the fact that Mac Hollins isn't being said, all right, go with the twos and, we'll have you come up and see if you can push the three that we have. He's automatically being grouped in with the ones, the starting unit. And I think that really puts it to a point where you can say the Patriots have their top four wide receivers, and you can say it's top five when you slide Kyle Williams in there as well as a third round rookie. So if this team is only going to keep six wide receivers, that really now puts it at a spot where four wide receivers are fighting for one spot. And Kendrick Bourne, for everything that he's done as a veteran in this league, his demeanor, his attitude, his jovialness in interviews and everything else, eagerness. He went down to North Carolina and a week early, just before everyone got together with Drake May, because he's so excited about it. And again, a great guy, but I just don't think the talent level right now and the execution are where the Patriots would like to see it. And I think that's going to keep him from cracking this 53-man roster. That means Jalen Polk, and one other player will be fighting for one spot. For me, Javon Baker and everything we've seen, even from training camp here, dropping another ball, trying to high point today in practice, or excuse me, yesterday in practice, where he didn't even have a pad shoved in his face. He just had to go through his hands. I think his best bet to make this team is on the practice squad and continue to develop as a wide receiver. That means Jalen Polk, who looked good the first few days here, finally able to get out there. Again, he's talking about not letting anything get in his way, not even thinking about last year. Excuse me, thank you. And what could be Josh McDaniels' favorite to take the wide receiver 6 spot. And that favorite is none other than Effton Chisum, the undrafted free agent out of Eastern Washington. And the reason why I say it is not just because of McDaniel's infatuation with slot wide receivers. And yes, I do think that does play a factor. That's been a long time where they've always tried to fit in these X wide receivers and dominant types, and never really found anything that could come close to Randy Moss. And whether it was Mitchell sliding out there, David Patton, Deion Branch, putting these guys that weren't really slot wide receivers, but were more Z than X wide receivers. So if you have a guy that is a little bit more of that slot and can do more things, that's when you're able to make an impact. And that's what Danny Amendola was for Josh McDaniels, that guy that he could come on off the bench and be able to fill any role that he needed. And in a post-practice press conference yesterday, Effton Chisum talked about that relationship with Josh McDaniels and what is going on. And he said the secret that McDaniels gave to him was not just one word or a phrase of advice, but actually a highlight reel, a game tape on Danny Amendola for Chisum to dive into, to emulate, to learn from, because I think McDaniel sees it in him. I think he sees the route running, the crispness, the fluidity in and out, the sureness of hands, and a guy, even in the same way that we saw from Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola as well, ability to help in the return and kicking game, whether it's a punt returner or a kick returner. Chisum absolutely can do that. And when you're talking about the wide receiver 6 on your roster, that's where you want to see them also being able to serve a dual role. And I think if you asked Effton Chisum as well, you're going to be a gunner on punt coverage, he'd be out there in a heartbeat. So I think those are the things that start to give him a leg up. And suddenly, just because Jalen Polk had a couple good days of practice, is that enough to say this job is yours? Now, again, injuries will happen and we'll see how things start to play out. We just had the first NFL game last night. So, yes, football is back. The Chargers and Lions had the Hall of Fame game. Yes, it's preseason football, so it's not actual football quite yet, but good to see some players out on the field and making some plays, strapping it up and wearing some familiar uniforms out there as well, not just training camp as guys getting after each other. But again, I think there's a lot to play out for the New England Patriots, both in the wide receiver room and the 53-man roster as we aim towards week one of the preseason, just a few days. And finally, taking a look at the defensive side of the ball, and we know that Christian Gonzalez remains day to day and essentially week to week. They are not going to push him. Don't expect him to see any action in that first or second preseason game. They will give him the time to come back from that injury that he sustained to his left leg, and that puts more importance on Carlton Davis, the free agent who joined from the Detroit Lions. And there was a scenario where you could say you had your 1 and 1B cornerbacks. Carlton Davis now becomes that CB1 for them. But again, it puts more of a focus on the depth of that position. And that's something that the Patriots really didn't have. And that's why, you said Marcus Jones, yes, it's so important to keep him on defense and perhaps in the return game, maybe even less so in the return game because you need him more on defense. And why Vrabel was talking earlier in the week of not having him on offense because they need other things from him first. So that's kind of your top three, your starting cornerbacks right there. Marcellus Dial, we knew would be in that mix as a reserve cornerback. The one that is surprising everybody and looking at your top five cornerbacks to make this roster, and one that I think has become an absolute shoe-in for this team, and I absolutely did not have in my 53 on the first one, two, or three go-arounds, is DJ James. He is all over the field. He is getting it done. He is with the starters. He is with the ones, and there is no, back down from this guy. He is after Stephon Diggs. He is after Kayshon Boutte. He is after Kyle Williams. Yes, he's gotten beat on a few, but he's had wins of his own. And if he continues to compete at this level, expect him to be very much be involved, not only in the depth of this unit, but being involved in the rotation and being out there and covering some of the best wide receivers in the NFL, because he is proving on a day-to-day basis in training camp and in practice right now that he absolutely can do that and is absolutely a player to watch this preseason. That'll do it for us here on this episode of Pat's Laced. Again, make sure you get down in the comments. Let us know what you think about Terry McLaurin. Are you sick of hearing it? Do you think nothing's going to happen and we just keep retreading with every update? Or is this the one that we actually need to start paying attention to? And this trade request really the time that Elliott Wolf can push all in to get Drake May a true secondary number one option. Also, make sure you give us that like. Go back and check out all of our old episodes so you know exactly what's going on with your New England Patriots, as we'll continue to have everything for you right here. Fight on, Foxborough.